Alright, time for another draftphysics.com, debatephysics.com also, but no one will reasonably reply to the actual arguments made. Okay, so I'm going to do another Brozo video. I haven't watched it, but it's obviously on this idea that he's going to prove kinetic energy or something, and he's using a bowling ball, which he's not using, but whatever. Apparently he's going to show us something, knocking down twice as many of something or something like that, and it's really not going to happen. It's not going to be a rational experiment. Credible. Rationally, logically credible. It's going to be a flawed nonsense experiment. No doubt. So anyway, I will begin by illustrating the point they have evaded, the arguments they have evaded. Again, that they haven't countered with any counter theory. Okay. Alright, so they propagandize about this idea that somehow friction is linear. So I've made this argument that no, it isn't. Okay, and neither is gravity in a sense. So you can drop things in gravity. Okay, I made this simple argument. This will be 4 units of distance. Okay, and what's happening in these units of distance? Okay, and the clear argument is that as you drop something, okay, to the ground, this, okay, will be the same as this little piece up here, 9.8. You get 9.8 meters per 1 second. So every 1 second of your falling time, okay, that's the only time you can collect the gravity. Is why you're free falling, free of being connected to any friction or any source that could take the energy away from you. So you're collecting it because there's nothing taking it away from you, kind of obviously. And that this entire section here will happen in the same amount of time as this. So it doesn't matter whether this is 1 second or 1/1,000,000th of a second. Okay, the fact is this will be 1/1,000,000th of a second. Okay, your velocity increase is going to be dictating that this time will be exactly the same time. So whatever this is, we'll just say 1 second for the sake of argument. This will be 1 second. It'll only be 9.8 meters of extra velocity. You will in fact land with 19.6. Conventional physics has proven that over and over again. So it's only twice the velocity. You're only in the force twice as long, not 4 times as long. And so yes, it is 4 units of distance, but you're not collecting 9.8 per every one of these units. You're only collecting 2 9.8s, 2 units of energy. And that's all you have. You don't have 4 times the energy. You only have 2 units that you collected. This collected 1 unit. This collects 2 units. Now, in rolling friction, they'll do an experiment where they'll roll an object with twice the velocity, and it does exactly the same thing. Why? Because in rolling friction, gravity is actually deciding your fate, because it's a constant pushing force. It pushes at a constant rate. So just like spray paint, you can understand that it's really just going to be about how long you're in the spray. The longer you're in it, the more paint will stick to you. So this one is only in it 1 unit of time. This one's in it, it's exactly the same argument. This one, because it's going twice the velocity, okay, it will go 4 times the distance. Okay, so yes, it is 4 times the distance. This is 1 distance. Okay, but the fact is that while it's rolling, it's only going to be 2 units of time. This unit of time, well, this one's the key one. This one, okay, where you're going half the velocity right here. Fact, you're going half the velocity here. So this will be the same as this. This is 1 velocity. Well, you'll hit 1 velocity here. So this section will be exactly the same as this section in terms of your friction. And this entire piece here will be only half the friction. Only half the energy is consumed here, and half the energy is consumed here. This is where you're going half the speed. Alright, so it perfectly fits, it works, it's a perfectly rational understanding that the force is pushing you into the ground. The amount of energy you put into the ground will be decided by how long you're covering that piece of ground. So here, in this unit of time, Lots of energy is getting taken away. In this unit of time, because you're moving quickly through the spray, you're collecting less spray. Now the total spray will be the same amount, but you're collecting it per foot in a smaller amount, per inch, per meter, per whatever unit of distance you wish to use. So the fact is the friction here, total friction force, will be the same as the friction force here. And that will be the same as the friction force here. So 2 units of friction, twice the velocity. Yes, you go 4 times the distance, but you did not consume 4 times the energy. You didn't make this 4 times hotter. This surface is not 4 times hotter. Okay, it's only twice the energy. Twice the heat went into the ground, because you had twice the velocity to lose. And that's all. That's the truth. This is the fact. Now, they won't touch these arguments. They won't counter them. They won't explain how there's any defect in this analysis. Yet they'll keep doing this nonsense. They keep making these insensible and stupid arguments in complete denial of the fact that my theory perfectly accounts for these dodges, these fake little notions that it's about distance when it's a time-dependent force. It's 9.8 meters per a unit of time, not per a unit of distance. It isn't 9.8 meters per meter. It isn't 9.8 meters per mile. It's not 9.8 meters per foot, 9.8 meters per inch, per centimeter. No, per 1 second. For a half second, it's 4.9. For 2 seconds, it's 19.6. I can create any unit of time. I just change how much I'm going to get per that unit of time. But it's always in a unit of time. So, I'm just saying, for the record, they have provided no argument debunking any of that, stating how any of those statements I just made are incorrect.
Count 1, 2, 3.
Great beginning. So this is a video we've already seen. He's done this crap in the past. It's just completely bullshit.
4.
Just in case it isn't entirely clear. Just in case it isn't entirely clear what's going on here. So there's where...
It won't be entirely clear. Never. And again, he's using gravity to launch the objects.
The red reel has ended. So red reel has just hit that cushion. I'm in the way of it, unfortunately. But you can...
So we already know that, in gravity, you go 4 times the distance, get twice the velocity. But whatever.
Just see the top of the red reel there, just over my shoulder.
Count 1, 2, 3, 4.
And that happens in the same time as the...
Okay, I don't know. So red reel has just hit left cushion. In same time, double mass reel reaches halfway. Yeah, so it's going half the speed. So he's got a 1 mass against a 2 mass. And see, he says he's going to explain the video. He doesn't explain anything. So what does this have to do with anything? So he just rolled them. He didn't have them in his contraption with his gravity launcher. He's just rolling them with his hand. And then saying, see, the heavy one goes twice as slow. Yeah. We know that.
The double mass reel reaches a halfway point. And this is the starting point that they both set out at.
Count 1, 2, 3, 4.
So start, end, and halfway. Hopefully that's clear. And I'll repeat this 2 or 3 times.
Very tricky holding it back because it's a lot of pressure.
So now he's going to use his gravity launcher. It can't be this stupid.
So I've got to let go and count 1, 2, 3, 4. Ah!
Count 1, 2, 3, 4. Ah!
And you see where they ended up?
I don't know why. It's pretty hard to imagine how he's demonstrating anything here. Yes, it's exactly as I predict, so nothing debunked here.
I might get out of the way. So, might not be quite bob on, but it was pretty. I might not have stopped it exactly as right. It should have been there perhaps, because I'll give it another go. But so now you know what you're looking for. So that's the starting position. The camera got that. So that's the starting position. Push it up against the cushion. Hold it there, and then the other one's a bit more tricky because I go 1, 2, 3, 4.
So what's he proving here? One of them's twice as massive. It's rolling
5.
half the speed.
I better do that again. I wasn't really. You mean you feel like you aren't in control because it's all happening too fast. It's alright when you were just watching it on a video.
What the fuck is he doing?
Round the fucker who's got to make this shit work and make it do something. Here we go again. 1, 2, 3, 4.
What the fuck is he doing?
So
Yeah,
the
sorry.
heavy one was a bit past halfway, wasn't it, when that one hit the barrier?
So
yes, so that needs to go a bit faster, doesn't it, the light one? It's still not quite at velocity 2, is it? So at the moment, this heavy one's got slightly more momentum.
This was only in
What the fuck was that? What the fuck are you doing? Why are you wasting our time with this? What the fuck are you doing?
intended to be a rehearsal, but in the end I thought, well, it's not going to get any better if I keep repeating it over and over again.
Yeah. What are you demonstrating? What is he proving here?
I'm not going to get the results any better, I don't think.
Are you ready now? Are you ready?
16-pound bowling ball equivalent. I don't know.
Now.
So this is how he's going to measure how much energy something has, is by this method of applying friction, where you're pushing something sideways. And he knows for a fact, okay, that fast and light things lose the same amount of energy per contact. And there's the same amount of friction. So again, we could use the argument, right? The faster you hit something, the more energy you release it from its friction with, the less friction there is. Just a fact. Just as in gravity, the faster your rocket goes, the less fuel it uses per mile, because of the advantage it has by giving it a higher velocity. And if you push it at a slow velocity, the friction eats your fuel. It eats more energy because you're pushing against the force for a longer time. The more time you're moving an object, the longer it takes you to move the object from one place to another, the more friction, the more you're losing energy to the friction. So this is a completely invalid experiment for the very reasons I've already described here about how velocity, the quickness of you moving an object, changes how much energy you lose to the friction. So moving the pin slowly is more friction. Now if it's a real bowling pin, we know it's no problem. The friction the pins have with the surface is irrelevant, because the pins are going to leave the surface. So they're not going to have any friction. So real bowling pins wouldn't be applicable to, because the ball doesn't slide the pins across the surface. The ball launches the pins. So it doesn't show up in the real bowling example. So there's a terrible analogy. This is how they're gimmick physics. This is just such a gimmick to say this is a perfect way of seeing how much energy something has. I'm going to extract the energy from the two wheels. He's developed a method that obviously won't extract the energy equally. It will tax the heavier one much more than it's going to tax the lighter one.
That was a bit shit, wasn't it? I'll give it one more go. Well, when I do it with the fast one, that might be shit as well. I don't know, do I? But that really was fucking shit, wasn't it? Let me line them up again.
So
I've got to be honest, I was expecting to be a
That's
bit
terrible.
better than that. 1, 2, 3. not very impressive, is it?
All
But
right.
then again, like I say, the other one.
Now, the other thing to point out is you're letting it roll a whole foot or two before it hits anything. So it's already losing its momentum much quicker. So the heavier object will lose because of the lower velocity, and it'll lose because it's heavier. It's pushing into the ground more because it's actually heavier. So it's got two taxes against it. So any length of time you allow the ball to roll, obviously it's going to be losing to the ground a lot more energy. Not only because it's going slower, but because it's also taxed by the fact that it's heavier and it's going to stick to the ground more.
Might not be very impressive, so let's take the heavy one up. Now I've got to be careful that doesn't fall, but can you see we've got a copper,
So absolute
solid
crap.
copper insert. It's very fucking heavy,
Absolute
that is. Before I double its velocity, I'm just going to use the same pressure but on the lighter weight, where it's supposed to now go 1.4 times.
So again, we have the angular momentum argument to throw in too. He put a solid core in one of them. So he's put the mass, he's ignored angular momentum again. Okay.
Times faster. Same energy, so it's being pushed with the same force. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. I'm ready now. I don't know what to think of that. It's not knocking any down, is it? It tickled past 4 of them. Oh, hang on. No, that wasn't a fair test. Just realised why this isn't a fair test. My mistake. Hands up. Dropping a clanger. The width of the reel I put down there, it's got 2 extra flanges on there. They're only thin, but it's enough to make a difference. So I need to move the bottles out to compensate for the extra flange.
So his two objects aren't identical in lots of different ways. One of them has a solid core, one of them has a hollow core, and they're different widths. Brilliant.
Don't I? Get my glasses on so I can actually measure this.
Your shit viewers.
So scrap the
Fucking
previous
asshole.
run. That will.
So why would he play this? Why would he fucking show this crap? Look, I completely did a stupid thing and they're in the wrong place, and now I'll move them.
With a fair run. This should be a more honest run. So here we go again then. So again, this will have the same energy according to the theory. It'll be going 1.414 times faster. Here we go. Ready? Pretty close. Give it another go. It's not a science laboratory. It's just me at home just doing my best. Go to.
So look how far it rolls before he lets it hit anything. And as pointed out, obviously the heavier, slower object has going to lose its distance. It's losing more energy per inch than the other thing is losing per inch. The faster it goes, the less per inch energy it's losing to the ground. So clearly, huge tax against the heavier object.
See, it's on the par, isn't it, with the other one, the heavy one. So it does look like same-ish energy as the previous one. It's going 1.4 times faster, pushed by the same weight. Half mass, 1.4 times faster, same kinetic energy, does the same damage by the looks of things, in keeping...
I don't know how this makes any sense. Does it make any sense? No. So he's saying 8-pound bowling balls don't have twice the energy. Is that what he's saying? I don't know. What's the 1.4 here for? What's? How is this video an enhancement? How is this taking the argument to the next level? This is going backward. It's so bad.
With the formula, as I understand it. I confess it's a limited understanding. I'm reliant on people like Mindless Marbles, William 1986, Pete.
Oh, you're not relying on when he points out to you that angular momentum is a real thing. You're not relying on him then. Oh, fuck.
Anybody else who's able to help me understand the math.
He doesn't understand anything. He's an idiot. This is an idiotic experiment for so many reasons. It's idiotic. It's not going to show anything with any clarity. Way too many retarded variables. Look at all the work he did. So instead of just making a lever, and showing us that you can't put a 5 mass on one side and a 10 mass on the other side, 1 unit of distance, the 5 mass twice the units, 1 mass and a 2 mass, doesn't matter, 2-to-1 relationship, and that somehow it doesn't conserve the momentum. So when I put the 5 mass going 10 into one side, I won't get the 10 mass going 5 out of the other side. Just prove that. I mean, the other way around. The 10 mass going 5 into one side and the 5 mass going 10 out of the other side. Because that would be a free energy machine then. So if levers conserve energy, conserve momentum, they can't possibly conserve kinetic energy. And they become free energy machines.
Mathematical aspect. Don't hold out too much hope with mathematics, and me and numbers don't get on too brilliantly. Doing my best. It is actually an interesting experiment, really. How many other people are bothering to do this? How many other people are even bothering to do this? Okay, here we go.
Same momentum, more kinetic energy. And how did he show the more kinetic energy part? I just don't get it. So it knocked over 3 canisters and the other one only knocked down 2? What's he saying? He said it's about the same. I don't know. But to me, yes, the slow one does look like it does less damage. And there's very good reasons for the less damage. First reason is you let them travel way too far. And in that travel time, the heavier mass was taxed, not only by the fact that it's heavier and it's pushing into the ground harder, but it was also taxed by the fact that its velocity is much slower. And so therefore, in the same distance, okay, it's in the gravity more time.
Well, that was actually quite interesting, wasn't it? That was actually quite interesting, I must admit. And that was better than I expected. So it did do like 1, 2, 3, 4, a bit more besides, really, didn't it? And that wasn't even quite double the velocity, was it? I'm quite impressed that it actually worked. That was better than I was expecting.
Okay, so he's an idiot. So he's just doing the rolling thing. That's all this is. It's exactly the same argument. Now, did he measure the velocity of these wheels and when did it go half as fast or any of that stuff? No. But I'm just saying that's a scientific fact. I'm just saying that I've made this argument more than a dozen times, probably more than 3 dozen times, probably 30 times. 30 times I've gone to the trouble to draw it on the board, explain how the gravity works, analogize it to a paint spray, point out how you're taking the energy from the object. That's the whole idea. You're watching the object going from velocity to going 0 velocity. The idea is that it lost its energy. The argument is that it didn't do so linearly. That is, it didn't do so per foot. It did so by units of time. That's the simple argument they won't touch. The cowards like Pyrrho. These absolute cowardly, slandering, lying pieces of shit. So again, he's just done the same experiment. You might as well just roll them without them hitting anything. And you'll see that the one going twice as fast rolls 4 times as far. Proving absolutely nothing, because it's going to do that in only twice the time. It's only going to be in the gravity twice as long.
Gotta be honest, I'm quite pleased with that from a point of view of proving Gary shit for brains wrong. Well, not proving it wrong, but you know what I mean. It's a strong indication.
It's not an indication at all. So again, you have to be a tiny physicist, a really small physicist, to understand the simple argument. I mean, it is not a complicated argument. I mean, and I have repeated it over and over and over. These are facts. This velocity is 1/2 of your velocity gets right here. You only get a half increase in your velocity over this entire distance. So if say you go 50 miles an hour here, okay, at only 1/4 of the distance, you'll only be going 100 miles an hour here. After going 3 more units of distance, your speed will have only doubled. These are facts. Okay, the fact is the same force is extracting your energy. When you're rolling things in gravity, gravity is extracting the energy. The contact you have with the surface will decide how much energy you lose. I have done this over and over again. This is not a complicated argument. If I put this in a plane, right? I take a piece of road out and I put a scale in. The faster I roll something across this scale, the less it weighs, the less pressure, the less energy going into the scale. That is a parallel to how much energy is going into the road. The faster you go, the less energy goes into the road. You're losing less of your energy. I've made this argument over and over and over again, and look what they reply with. Antics, shenanigans, absolute fraudulent nonsense, stuff that has nothing to do with physicists. Again, you have to be a very small physicist, very tiny physicist to be able to understand this argument. A kid can understand this argument. 9.8 meters per 1 second. A kid can understand 1 second, 1 unit of energy. A kid could do it. And these buffoons are doing this and declaring victory. I mean, fuck! None of you people have enough integrity to say, I'm not defending that as an argument. That's a piece of shit. You won't say it? You don't have enough goddamn respect for the truth? God, you people are such fucking scum.
It's evidence against his crappy guesswork theory, isn't it? Because it is doing approximately, as far as I can determine, it's doing approximately twice as much damage, isn't it? Didn't get to the sixth one, but in fairness, it knocked the first two down and the other one.
So again, there's not damage, it's just a way of taking its energy away, and the same rules apply. The slower you take the energy, the more energy it's going to take, because it's really friction you're fighting.
Didn't knock any down at all, did it? Just moved them out of the way. Is this where Gary's going to start moaning like a schoolgirl, saying, it's just the same as the Clay experiment?
So I think it's sufficient to say that Gary...
Yeah, so it's just the same as the Clay experiment. It's a lack of understanding. A complete denial of exactly what physics is supposed to be is the details. You're supposed to understand the variables and account for all the variables. You're a detective. You're supposed to count all the evidence. You're not supposed to be fooled by, well, the butler's tall enough, or, you know, you have to be a little bit more. You have to demand a little bit more.
He needs to.
So again, just so bad that he would dig this piece of shit video up and play this as some sort of legitimate counter argument to what I have just written on this board for the 40th time.
Now cough up and pay for the experiment that he's been promising to pay for about 2 or 3 months.
Oh, look at this.
He said he was going to...
So here he's saying I should pay him to do an experiment. I never asked him to do this. I never profiled this as the way to calculate the energy. I've told people, look, you can put generators on trains and collect the wattage, the total wattage produced by the trains. That would be a good experiment. You know, put a generator on a 5-ton train going 10 miles an hour, put a generator on a 10-ton train going 5 miles an hour, and pull the energy out of the trains with the generator. Reduce the effects of friction and try to pull all the energy out with the generator. Now you could do that with flywheels even. That would be even better. Get 2 flywheels spinning and then pull the energy out of the flywheels and see if the twice as fast flywheel has 4 times the energy in it.
to commission a proper experiment using properly engineered parts, and that whoever was wrong would fund it. Well, I think he should fund it now.
So he thinks this is a proper experiment proving that the half mass going twice the velocity has 4 times the energy. Well, twice the energy. Pitiful.
I funded this one. I funded all the previous experiments. I funded all his radar experiments.
No, this is all a lie, okay? I even made a video to him directly saying, whoa, what are you spending all this money for? I protested and said, don't do it. And he still did it and said, I'm doing it for myself. This isn't your obligation. You have nothing to do with this. Okay, you're not obligated. And now he's trying to make me obligated. I mean, he's such a slimeball. I overtly told him, no, don't spend money. I said the words and he did it anyway. And he's blaming me. He never consulted me on a single purchase he ever made of anything or anything he did. He just did it on his own. And in fact, I protested him doing it. And this fucking piece of dirt says I owe him something? Fuck.
I funded all his sound experiments. I funded all his polarization experiments. I funded all his slit experiments. I've even sent him slits that he's forgotten.
This is disgusting. Yeah, did I ask you to? No! Did I sign a contract saying I'm somehow obligated to you because you sent a fucking dirty, filthy envelope in the mail? An envelope with cut pieces of plastic in it that can't even take being hit by a laser beam? I mean, they melted, for fuck's sake.
And he's got. I think it's time Gary funded at least.
A disgusting piece of shit.
Something. He promised $50 for someone.
Yeah, I promised to pay somebody who did a credible experiment. I'm not going to pay for an incredibly stupid one.
Who could show this kind of evidence. I've shown him this kind of evidence several times over now, and he still hasn't coughed up $50.
Right, I should give $50 to anybody who can make something going twice as fast roll 4 times as far. When everybody can do that. I can roll this pen across a surface and make that happen. That is not proof that it has 4 times the energy. So again, you're just such a lying sack of stinking rotten shit. This experiment has nothing to do with advancing anyone's knowledge at all.
I don't think he's ever going to cough up $50. He says he never welches on a deal. Well, I don't believe him. I think he will simply wriggle and wriggle, pretend the evidence isn't there.
All right, just for the sake of understanding, I made no deal with this asshole. I prearranged nothing. This is just disgusting lying that I obligated myself to pay him anything.
Just to avoid paying to someone he doesn't like. Well, give the money to charity then if you don't like me.
I'm not paying Muslims for lying. I'm not going to pay a Christian for lying, okay? So fuck you. This is idiotic. I made no contract. Prove there's a God. Are they going to do it? No. Did you prove anything in this experiment? No. Except that you don't understand what science is. Science is accounting for variables. Did you account for them? No.
I don't particularly want Gary's money. I just don't want to see the guy getting off scot-free with lying what he intends to do.
Alright, so just a complete lie, okay? No one will ever show that I didn't pay a bill somewhere or pay an obligation. It's just a complete motherfucking lie. I've sent real public emails. I've shown the emails I've sent to people offering them thousands of dollars. I will pay them, okay, to satisfy the contract. Alright, so it's just a fucking lie to say I ever welched. You fucking piece of shit. You lying, slandering, libeling asshole. You're just a fucking liar.
The only time he wants to put his money where his mouth is when he's got a rigged experiment. The one where he conveniently then forgets about the so-called excess friction of the heavy mass object. Suddenly the friction doesn't matter then, does it? Because he's a lying, cheating scoundrel.
Where's that? Where's that example? So he's making a vague reference to sometime I said something that, and there's no proof of it, no evidence, no clip, no nothing.
Before, and I'll keep saying,
liar.
Because he is. Be very cautious of Gary. I wouldn't buy a raffle ticket from him.
Is this where Gary's going to start moaning like a schoolgirl?
No, I'm going to sue you. Okay, I'm just letting you know. So when I'm proven right, okay, and I have some standing, okay, in the international community, I'm going to sue you for slander and libel. You piece of shit. You absolute piece of shit.
Girl saying it's just the same as the clay experiment, because he keeps blaming everything on clay experiments, doesn't he? When I was using it to move shit,
It's the same argument in a way, because yes, the advantage of the shape means that the actual energy is being consumed at a different rate. If you're pushing clay down and then pushing it sideways, those are two motions, down and sideways. It takes more energy to do that. If you're just pushing the clay sideways, that takes less energy. Again, this could be understood by a kid. A kid could understand that it takes more energy, it takes less energy to push something away than it takes to push it down and then away. Yeah, a fucking imbecile can understand that.
other things. Always relying on friction. Actually, an experiment I've not actually showed you yet. These copper things, these are beautiful engineered pieces of, that's the double weight, kilo, and that's a half kilo. Rolling those along similar tracks, but on the small table here you can't see. Compressing springs and also moving these aircraft grade springs.
Alright, so let's understand. He made this video maybe 2 years ago. Okay. And he's just publishing it now. And he's telling us about a bunch of experiments he did, and we never saw them. Why didn't we ever see them? So again, he's quote mining his own experiments. He's just waiting till it happens to turn out the way he wants it, and he shows us that. And all the stuff that's he doesn't show us. So just understand, this is confirmation bias. It's a bias. He's a cheater.
Very strong springs though, like, so they take a lot of compression, they do. But I also tried, just out of interest, moving my mobile phone. I've got a few of these and they weigh 89 grams each. Sure enough, it moved repeatedly. The lightest object going twice as fast, that one going twice as fast, moved the mobile phone twice as far, almost exactly, and it was quite uncanny, isn't it? Quite fascinating to see, really. The guy says, no better.
The lighter one moved twice as far. It's supposed to go 4 times as far.
Isn't the clay experiment like when I did it when I was using it to move staples? Well, it wasn't me who said.
So again, he's picking on the staple thing again. It was silly. Glued staples. He's using glued staples to measure how much energy something has, when you know, the fact that they're going to deform in different ways is just obvious. Again, just too stupid.
Check how much it moves anything. It was Gary who said that. It's only Gary who's backtracking now. Now he's realised the claims he made.
Oh, let's understand. When I say anything, you know, I'm just saying, look, throw something. I'm not saying throw a frisbee. You know, I mean, obviously people have to shorten this text a little bit. You can't have to sit there and counter everything by saying, oh, I don't mean elephants and I don't mean giraffes. You know, I mean, I shouldn't have to say. When I said throw something, I didn't mean a hippopotamus.
Backfired on him because the claims he made are false. He said it doesn't matter what you put in front of these things, no matter what you try and make them move, marbles or anything, see how much anything they move. Those were his exact words, see how much anything.
Yeah, the same things. The two things, you can't have hollow and solid rolling things. That's breaking the rules.
They move. His claim was that kilo weight at half speed would move exactly the same amount as this half kilo weight at double speed, and it didn't. That moved twice the amount, twice the weight, twice the distance. Of course he's going to have excuses. He's just got an endless list of excuses.
So again, it should be 4 times by your theory, but whatever.
Excuses, hasn't he? But anyway, I'm impressed with that for now. Now I'm just going to, because I'm tired, it's 3 in the morning. I'm kind of pissed off having to bother doing this, really. So
again, this was years ago. Years ago.
I think I'll jack him. I've given them all 2 goes, haven't I? Have I been fair?
So he's posting this as some sort of, look, and it's got 9 ups by this crowd of cheaters and liars and morons who have completely evaded my argument, the explicit argument I made. You know, I explained 3 times now in this video. And in multiple videos, the same argument has been made over and over again. Did he counter it in any way? Did he show anything I drew on this board to be inaccurate and incorrect? No. So here he says it again. Where's my $50? Just amazing. I just suggested it would be worth it if we paid somebody to do experiments, to do them well, to make good pieces and, you know, hardware and do the experiments well. I actually thought of this last night, that even these critics should be kind of irritated that physics doesn't pay any attention to these elemental experiments, that they haven't measured how many photons are actually being produced by the slit experiment, for example, that none of these elemental experiments have been done, and that we should maybe try to get one of the foundations, the science foundations, to become focused on that, or we should create our own, not for profit, okay, that just has that as a purpose, to get foundation money to do elemental science, to fund the experiments that need to be done, to get the Eddington done from space, to create enough interest and money. I mean, it's only going to cost $100, to persuade NASA to point one of their satellites for 5 minutes and do the experiment. All right, where's Gary? Expensive experiment he promised to commission 4 years ago. So yeah, I've attempted to pay $500 for just the experiment, and I've obviously offered people thousands of dollars to deal with the subject. Thousands. Old Jizz Breath still touts his crappy theory that an 8-pound bowling ball only does the same damage to pins as a 16-pound ball. So again, he's saying he's somehow proven that's not true. That somehow the momentum, again, I detailed the momentum transfer, right? They could actually do a slow motion film of pins, and they could actually detail how the ball loses its momentum and the pins get exactly the momentum the ball loses, because the ball's much heavier than the pin. So you don't have to worry about the reflection shit and all of that kind of crap. It's a clear transfer between a heavy object with velocity, and it's going to lose a specific amount of momentum to each pin it hits, and the pin will contain that momentum. Every bit of it will conserve momentum. And the 8-pound bowling ball has exactly the same momentum. It will give pins exactly the same momentum. It will not do twice the movement of pins. It's a fact. If they ever slow motion detailed it, they would see the fact is true. Pins can't magically create more momentum. And you can't just magically create energy. All right, as the 16-pound ball at half the velocity. Here's a reminder that I proved him wrong, not only on this, but a few more examples I described towards the end. So these are just disgustingly, putridly bad experiments. And for anybody to say this is credible science, that this is doing science a favor, these experiments are worse than the free energy experiments. This is the worst kind of fraud and fakery. All right, this guy is a tight-fisted lying scoundrel. No, it's exactly what you are, and I hope to someday be given the opportunity to prove it in court. You're a liar. All right. It is not about paying. It's about you interfering with his self-perceived superior intelligence. So again, nothing on the subject. The subject is his experiment a credible way of extracting the energy? Okay, he will construct a new worldview to reinforce his facts. Yeah, the worldview has been the same worldview for 10 fucking years. The consistent argument that it's a push universe made out of clumps, not waves. You, Stephen, are providing useful videos for teaching. So he thinks this is good teaching. This is what Newton would say. Great job, Professor Brozo. Excellent demonstration. No, of course Newton would say, are you out of your fucking mind? quantity of motion. You don't get it? mv squared is Leibnizian woo, okay? The living force. What are you, children? You fall for that? Well done, old chap. So this is the crap these people post. Thank you. All right, so this is Gosling, Ian Gosling, the retard. Okay, great effort, Steve. So it's 2 years ago, and it's complete shit. Okay, slowly but surely we reconstruct mechanics from certain oblivion by Gary's new science. Phew. So they're saving science with this chicanery. I mean, this overt evasion of the argument to propagandize for absolute nonsense. Again, he could have just rolled the reels and said, look, the one with twice the velocity went 4 times further. He could have just done that. If that's what you believe, if you believe friction is linear, if you don't believe things going faster over a scale produce less weight, then yeah, you can fall for this. But if you're paying any attention to the facts, you won't fall for it. Alright, well, this Walker guy is just so stupid. Let's celebrate this week with a difference between momentum and kinetic energy was explained to her 1,000 times over in the last 3 years. So again, just nothing. You explained nothing. 9.8 meters per 1 second. You haven't still gotten past that truth. 1 times 1 is 1. You haven't got past that. So even if you want to say per second, per second, per second, per second, per second, even if you want to do that, you know, instead of just saying per second, you want to say per second, per second. Okay. You want to say per second, per second, per second, per second, per second. Wouldn't matter because it's 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 1. Ha ha, you lose. Oh, God. Over the last 3 years that he still doesn't get it. Yeah, I don't get how 1 times 1 is 2. And let's hope she doesn't realize that she 300 years behind. I mean, this is just this whole. There's just no point, right? I mean, again, look how petty this is. He's calling me a she for some reason. Okay, I don't know what it's about. I mean, he doesn't like women. That seems clear. But what the fuck is that about? I mean, is that some sort of gay thing or something, or what is it? What exactly is your implication? Brozo is the one with kitty toys in his living room. I mean, come on. Okay. Forks are utter nonsense. You can eat with your fingers. Okay, see, they're just not even, there's not even a hope that these people would get somewhere near the subject. You're going to think so this is where Brozo gets, he shows his true character. You're going to think I'm joking, but imagine if she was on real TV. It would be a massive hit show if they had real experts to interject and explain. Now, wouldn't that be great? Yes, if they had it like physics, Michael's physics, right? This coward who just ran away again. Another example of a little snowflake, okay, who can't be criticized. You can't accept it, he won't accept it, and he won't be challenged. To the general audience who may not understand the arguments. And this guy understands any of these arguments. He's holding up a hollow thing and a solid thing and then not even realizing those things roll at a different rate. Why this dude is such a dumbass, I guess that is. In the UK, there have been several hit shows on whatever this is. Who cares? I thought eggs were vegetables. Don't they come from an eggplant? I mean, they're so disgusting. Oh, God damn it. It's just insufferable. There is some controversy about it. Some argue eggs are a fruit. Oh, Jesus Christ. Somebody does that on Earth? I am celebrating with a strippergram book for tonight. So this is a thing for him. Yes, I'm going to bribe a desperate woman into demeaning herself. Okay, to please me, to satisfy my little desperate needs. She's going to demonstrate kinetic energy using nipple tassels, so that turns him on. Burlesque. Yeah, he's back in the old burlesque days. Yeah, it's a big turn on. I can't even imagine what any male sees in it. sorry, I can't even imagine why this would be at all interesting. I mean, it's so unsexual to me, personally, frankly. Little strings swirling around on nipples. I'm sorry, I just don't get it. I can't hope to get how that has some sort of intriguing, compelling, erotic thing. It's just not even close. Ah, so funny. I will need a high-speed camera to capture the evidence. So that's his, he's in the toilet. He lives in a toilet, literally in his brain and in reality. So they're talking about cheese shops. I really couldn't care less. Let's see. Join the critique for that scientific footage. Nina is working on it right now. So he's talking about something. I guess he's, going to pay her to degrade herself. I'm not inclined to cue jump, but in this instance, I'm first. So they're all just lining up. It's just too. I don't want to read any more of this. It's just so bad. Oh, and I see what you did there, but I'm quite sure you are confused about edible panties. That's a thing for people too, apparently. You can actually buy a machine that shoves a dildo in your ass. Sorry. Yeah, no. I'm not buying one. Yeah, it's not going to happen. I just, this is the life they think is great. I have a great life. I just bought myself an ass penetrating machine. That's bliss for these people. That's their world. I just put beaver in here and all. It's just too. This is just so disgusting. That this is their tribute to science. All right, no. You need a 5-ton train and a 10-ton train. You are overtly twisting the experiment by using bowling balls. So clearly I've made the argument using analogies to lots of things, and clearly what I've pointed out is you just want to do the 2-to-1 relationship thing. You want to invert the mass to velocity ratios to demonstrate that momentum is either consistent or inconsistent. I've temporarily mislaid my 10-ton train and my 5-ton train, so it's just so funny, You're stuck in a tunnel. No, they're spinning their wheels in the shit that is your life. I can't believe he posted this piece of shit video. Amazing. Alright, so then we'll just call that a video. So I'm sure the Iron Gosling guy has done something, horrific also. I guess I could check. I mean, they just keep going lower and lower and lower and lower. So Tosspot Gary DraftScience, whatever that is. So I guess we'll see what this is. Tosspot.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. I thought it would happen. I've just watched your today's video. Thank goodness I didn't bother doing that experiment.
Oh, what a liar. Okay, so we already know. So he knows that I was exactly right. Now, see, he's saying because I didn't previously point out that if you do the experiment up and down, you have to subtract the standing weight of the objects because the standing weight will also be in. You can't take away the fact that the 10 pounds weighs 10 pounds and it's going to add to what the scale sees. So the motion has to be added. So I could play the Julius Sumner video again where he said mg and then he said plus any of the acceleration you add, mass and acceleration, plus ma, mg plus ma. But both of them are going to be in it. So yes, you have to subtract the mg part because that's just the weight of the object, and the only part you're trying to measure is the ma, the acceleration part, the component created by acceleration. So I can't believe he's going to do this. He's going to weasel out because I actually described exactly what will happen. I mean, what a fucking piece of shit. All right. Well, let's read the comments on this just to start. Let's see if we find a Piro comment. And while I'm at it, an Inmendum song from a mere 11 years ago. Oh, so he's posting that crap, his stupid musical interludes. So they really can't stay on the subject of physics. I mean, just pathetic. I don't even know while I'm at it. There's no other comment by this piece of shit. Don't forget, he doesn't really know what it means for it to be linear or not. You're the people who don't understand that it's a per second force. It can't possibly be linear in that circumstance because you're gaining velocity. I mean, it's amazing. This coward will not play my video and explain how I said a damn thing wrong in that description of how gravity works. This coward, these pieces of fucking goddamn disgusting human pus. They get away with this nonsense. Okay, so let's see. Now, there's no other Piro comment here. Alright, well, we'll save that for another video. Maybe this afternoon I'll tackle this one. But clearly he's weaseling. Okay, so he's not going to do the experiment. So I don't know. Let's just jump in the middle and see if he's doing anything. So he's showing the setup. That's all he's doing. I guess. So, okay. Well, we'll save it for later. It'd be a big surprise if he actually does something. He actually hooks something on here. Apparently he's not going to do that, but we'll see. I don't even know if this brace is nearly good enough, but we'll see. But he's not going to do the experiment, he said. Now, I would argue that he's already done it. That's why he made the video. And the fact is, it came out perfect to my prediction. And that's why we're not going to see it. Because that's how they play. Alright, they cheat. Plain and simple. Cheat the truth. Wherever you can. That's their motto. Their secret motto. A fake, phony, false victory is victory. Cheat, cheat, cheat. Don't deal with the actual argument made. Don't counter it in some real way. Just pretend you did. Fake, phony, fraud, pieces of shit. Damn. Proving my point. There's nothing about the human race that earns it being saved. Yeah, no. It deserves what it's going to eventually get from the universe. Oh, God. What a waste of intelligence. Damn it. Disgraceful humiliation. You're just proving your bugs. No better.